inside the all-new House of Public Discourse Radio.com. The house is an area in social media where individuals can come together to discuss societal issues, and from that discussion influence political action. Welcome to the house,
where our house is your house.
Welcome everybody. Merry Christmas. This is Johnny. It's the all-new House of Public Discourse Radio.com. We're opening up the forum on this Christmas Day. I'm sure a lot of folks are spending time with their families and loved ones, and that being on Facebook is not high on the priority list today. But I decided to open up the forum. My wife is busy getting our Christmas dinner ready, and I've been sitting in here doing some housekeeping with our Progressive News Network, and I decided, hey, why not open up the forum? And we put a link down in the comments in the House of Public Discourse forum group. There's a link in the comments, and if you'd like to pop in the studio and give me a holler, a Merry Christmas is in order. We sure would love to have you. If you don't want to have your face be shown on camera for whatever, you're camera shy, like I am, you don't have to start the camera. You can just come in, but we would love for you to just click that camera and come on in. One of the first things I wanted to do today, I'm expecting some of the admin team to show up here a little later on in the broadcast, but what you're seeing on the screen right now is the landing page for our podcast, which also will function as the backbone for the radio station once we get that re-energized, and once we get that ready to go.
Hi, Johnny.
Hey, buddy. Welcome. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas, man. I'm just getting ready to sit down here, get myself settled. Today was really a trip for me because, I've been kind of praying about this for a year.
Yeah.
But I sent something over to you on Messenger. You probably didn't get it because you're already up here. But
right.
my father said, tell Johnny this. So this you might take from my father.
Hey, Chris, bring your camera down a little bit. I don't see your face. But
that's because I'm standing over here. Hold on.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
No. Anyway, hold up. I'm coming closer now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now,
there's my buddy. There's my man. Merry Christmas, bro. Merry Christmas. Unmute your mic.
No, but like when I saw you were going live, I said,
Right.
I gotta say hello. But anyway, so I was doing this thing, and my father, the living God, he said, well, tell Johnny this, and I'll tell you what he wrote down. I'll give it to you word for word. And he said, tell Johnny, yeah, I said you were right there, bro, because you just wrote this thing about poverty is not a crime, live
Right.
broadcast, so you're already on the same page. I could tell that the table, the 12 apostles of the Lamb that I work for, were leading you to me. And then what it said is this. I said, let me tell you something that I just heard from my father. He said, tell Johnny that the reason that there even is an America is because George Washington on Christmas Day invaded Trenton and captured the Hessians and those tanks. I think they used those tanks to use a siege on Boston Harbor. Or was it the guns from Ticonderoga? And anyway, those cannon came in very useful. But anyway, okay, so they invaded Trenton on Christmas Day, captured the Hessians, and which the cannons of great effect. And Christmas Day is when we starting our campaign today, which is also Christmas Day. So
Right.
what this is the continuation, because I wasn't even thinking of this, and my father said, well, Christmas Day, I'm going, this is the day of battle, I better write that down too.
Yeah.
Well,
and a lot of people I know are spending time with their families and loved ones today,
Yes.
And Chris, you're very much my family,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
the house admin team is very much my family, and
Extended
the
family. Yeah.
yes,
Extended
exactly
family.
right, and the
Your
house.
tribe.
Yeah,
It's actually your tribe. Your
it
extended
is.
family is your tribe.
Exactly it. You're exactly right, sir. And I decided, the House Public Discourse Forum, everyone that's in our group, I consider a part of my family,
Right.
because we have, shared so much over the last, several years, that we've got this software, we've got this technology, we've got all these things that we've been working on. Let's go ahead and start, putting it to use. Let's start using this live stream software, and see what we can do with it. How much can we accomplish in
Well,
getting the message out? And
I
that's
think
why.
what you're looking. Yeah. No. No. But what I think you're looking at though is something that I've noticed is a phenomena which is just kind of snuck up on us, and we're only now becoming aware of it. The bad guys have been very hip to it, but we're just catching on. And the thing is, like, what Steve Pachenik used with Alex Jones or anything else, but what is it? Now with your phone, you can become, CNN. Now with your phone, the streaming technology and the information, every single man has become a radio station. Every single person has become a dispenser, a source of their own point of view and their information. So I think what we're looking at, Johnny, is at the end, the battle that we fight and win is this. Every single man at that point can stand in a position of Christ or a prophet and bring the truth. So they cannot fight 8 billion people, each one of which has the technology now to reach all of mankind. Theoretically, with a keystroke, I could send a message to all 7 billion people on the planet. Is that not true, John? Is that not so? I believe it is. Now, let me see. Now, Johnny may have gone off here.
Oh, I'm here, bro. I'm sorry.
No, no, no,
Uh,
no, 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 no. I'm just saying, though, every single person, and you are the prime example of this. You got your own radio station. You got your own thing on Facebook, which I had something similar, but it wasn't anything like yours. You've got your own forum. You've got your own. You've got your own website. You're on YouTube. You have become everything that Alex Jones was. You have everything, every single thing that he had. I mean, he had money in back and everything else. But I'm saying technologically. So why couldn't we do the same thing, but this time for good instead of for evil? Pachenik is one of the CIA people that brought down the democratically elected government of Iran and installed the Shah. And Tom
right.
Clancy wrote glowing. No, Dr. Pachenik is actually a figure in all those Tom Clancy novels, who was called Jack. And then finally, the CIA killed Tom Clancy because Pachenik was getting so far out there. He was giving him this classified information, and they realized that Pachenik was too far out there. They couldn't kill Pachenik, but they killed Tom Clancy. Now I'm telling you that right now. We should probably be talking about that live. Imagine the I guess you might say the consternation, the public outcry that would cause. You know what I mean? That it would be sensational if I actually was able to explain to people that just what I told you. But see, that's what we can bring every day. We could be the new Alex Jones, but
Right.
but
We
but
are the
the good
media.
one, but the good
Right.
one. Yeah,
I
Roar
also
Media, with Roar Media, and you're going to be doing the basically the epiphany when they have Biden put into office, with the hand on the Bible. Isn't Roar Media going to do a special thing with you and have you and a panel on there talking about the historic significance of this moment? I think
Well,
that's
there was some talk of that. I'm at the
well.
liberty
Why
of.
don't we take it? Well, why don't we take it? We'll take
That's
it to Roar.
exactly right. And
I'll take it to Roar.
irregardless,
Yeah,
we'll take it to the streets ourselves, and that's one thing that I'm proud of. Something
I
else I want to
think.
show you. If you'll
Yeah,
look on
yeah,
the screen, we got a Facebook user who's wished us a
yes.
Merry Christmas, and
Hello, Merry
and
Christmas.
also And also, we have a Facebook user who has wished us a happy holiday. And
Thank you.
the reason I pull that out is because I've been working on trying to get people to interact with the comments. Our software, it hides their identities.
Okay.
It doesn't say who they are. It just says a Facebook user. But we've actually gotten two people to use the click that link, and I've also invited a bunch of people to show up. I don't know if they'll come or not. A lot of, like I say, it's Christmas Day, Chris, and I'm spending Christmas with my
Well, that I know, but people are at home with their families. But everyone's really caught up in this political thing right now. It's so important. So I think there's probably a few activist people, who like you and me. Let's face it. We are. We're like news junkies. You know what I mean? Like
right.
we live on the news because it keeps us in the moment. Is what it does. Keeps us in the
Right.
moment.
Well, I made that conscious effort several years ago. That's what I was going to do. I was going to.
Well,
I'm a news
So
hound. I'm a news
well,
hound.
we're just catching up with you. We're just catching up with you, Johnny. And it's like that guy said, Verlaine. He said, "There is no avant-garde. There are only those who are a little late."
Yeah. Hey, Chris, let me, if you look on the screen here.
Yeah, looking right at
this, This is our podcast
Oh yeah,
channel.
yeah.
Channel.
Yeah, yeah.
This also functions as the backbone for what's going to be our radio station, which is the website you were speaking of. You remember that one? You remember the one that we were writing on for a while?
Yeah.
I just had to turn it
Yeah.
off when COVID hit because those WordPress websites, can get a little pricey, and I didn't have the funds to keep it going. And I said, I had to put it on hold. But I would like to play a little tidbit here. This is, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of House of Public Discourse investigative reports in the
Well,
new
yeah.
year.
I mean, yeah, and like, let's not forget, Johnny. I'm waiting on some money right now, which actually got caught up in this snowstorm with this huge mail, blitzkrieg that happened. I've actually got some funds coming to me from my people in California, and I'm going to bankroll that radio station. I mean, I'm telling you right now, right out in the open. I mean, it'll probably be. I doubt it'll be more than like $1,000 at first, but I'm going to take the immediate onus of the day off you,
Well,
so
we're
that you can
getting
do it.
we're
And
getting
so
our revenue.
and
Yeah.
you would have had it already if it hadn't been for this bloody snowstorm on the 16th. I'm supposed to have my money on the 17th at 9 p.m. and I'm still waiting.
Yeah, I
But
know.
but like what I told you is the truth. So I just want you to know that you can take that to the bank, and you soon will.
Yeah, well, let me. You know what? That sounds fantastic, but we've also discussed,
Yes.
setting up our revenue streams. We're going to be providing.
Well, we're going to be telling
T-shirts
people. Yeah, yeah.
and,
I'd
and
love
things
to.
like-
I love to design. I've designed t-shirts for my band. I'd love to be able to
I
help
know
you.
that. I know you. I know. I'm an empath. I can already tell you would be fantastic. I can tell by the artwork that you use on your webpage and on your Facebook page that you.
Oh yeah,
you
well
have.
most of that is Vaclav Vaka, who was a Czechoslovakian. It lives in Canada, and you should see the work this guy's done. He belongs to a Society of the Imagination in Canada. I use a lot of his work, and he's a visionary, and he's never come after me. And I've used his stuff for years without any permission. I wrote and asked for permission formally once. I never got a response, but I know he got the damn letter. So I put it right on his website. But but he has basically let me use his stuff for my band and everything else, and he's quite well aware of me. I'm totally sure of that. But
Yeah.
well, you have great graphics though too, and the voices you use are those anime characters, which I love. I personally think they show more of your personality than anything.
Well, the
So
thing about it
don't
is,
you dare listen to Sean. Don't you dare listen to Sean and take those little animated voices away. I love those.
Oh no, Sean. I understand.
And the pictures too. Yeah.
I understand that the artificial voices. It happened to me last night. I was on the air with for about 40 minutes going over poverty. Poverty's not a crime. It's an article I had written
Right.
many years ago.
A brilliant article, by the way, to demonize the victim, to, grind the faces of the poor into the dirt. This is exactly what's written in the prophets. Anyway, go on.
About midway through, my voice started cracking. I started, ever since I got sick with the cancer, and I have the kidney problems and that kind of, my voice just isn't what it used to be. But
right.
So have to do a lot more editing on the back end with my voice, getting the grunts and the snorts and the things out of the mix. But and using the artificial voices is just so much easier.
Yes, and very effective, because you know why? You can bump the volume. You can keep it maxed out the whole time. So it gives you this presence.
Yeah, you have to also forget all you've ever learned about grammar when you write those artificial voice texts out. You have to put exclamation points where you normally wouldn't. You have to put commas, where you normally wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
So I'm working. I'm working. The better I get at that, the more realistic those voices will sound.
To tell you the truth, I've only heard it one time where the voice was off and it used a phrase which wasn't actually English, but that was just once out of hours that I've listened to your stuff. So
right.
One one mistake out of 100 hours of airtime.
I am very
CNN doesn't do that well. CNN doesn't do it that well.
I was very impressed with. I'm very impressed with that software, and I'm glad I'm using it. And I think we can create characters with it.
Why not? I mean, authentic. We can send out.
Let's give an example of that with our broadcast that I've got queued up here.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Abby Conklin, desk reporter for the all-new House of Public Discourse Radio.com.
I love it.
Join Johnny, along with our House Investigative Reports team for a discussion on the COVID-19 death rate in nursing homes reaches a new height since the start of the pandemic, on track to worsen, analysis finds. What's going on
Florida,
in our nursing homes
that murderer,
and other long-term care facilities? Johnny conducts an interview with an undercover source to protect their identity and income source.
You're inside the Progressive Talk Zone with House of Public Discourse founder and host, Johnny Hill.
Hello. House of Public Discourse members, this Johnny with my pen and my virtual voice.
We can go 24/7
Nursing homes experienced their worst COVID-19 death rate between mid-October and mid-November.
That's what I was talking about. Using
more than
the technology
8,400
on our
residents
side.
dying from the disease over the 4-week period.
On our side, see, every man has now become, his own CNN. And if you have the truth, as I believe that you and I do at this present moment, just because of what this revelation that I was giving, this morning, finally, where I was given the word out of the mouth of Mike Pence. Mike Pence, it's in this article here, right on Nation of Change, Friday, December 25th, 2020, and written by Julia Conley, December 24th, published today. And it says, yes, exactly, say progressives, after Pence warns Democrats will, quote, make the rich poorer and the poor more comfortable. And
we ran that article. Right. That is an atrocious man. But he is the Southern evangelical archetype. He has made himself into this, and of course, abortion on demand. He throws that one in. Let me tell you something about abortion on demand. You know what? If people had jobs, if they had houses, if they been given an education, if they could get contraception, if they could go to a health clinic, if they could have relationships, if they could have marriages, if they could have standing and security, there wouldn't be any bloody abortions because people would be able to keep the children that they were having. But if you're living out on the street, if you're strung out on crack, if if your home is a cardboard box, in back of, the local theater, if you're eating out of dumpsters and you get pregnant, you're not going to keep that child. I've got news for you. So this abortion on demand bullshit, which I hear from these fake, fake Christians, it's exactly what was said in the prophets of these people that hide themselves behind one part of the law, one tenet, and then they do a host of evil. It's what Rochefoucauld said, people who do good so that later they may do evil with impunity.
So they've taken this principle, this, pro-life thing. And first of all, they don't follow it themselves. I tell you, if these rich people, if one of their daughters gets knocked up, they're in a Swiss, motel, getting taken care of, in a week. They're sitting on Lake Geneva, having a latte. Yeah, they're not no one in America should get an abortion. Yeah, so they send their kids to France and have them do it there. Oh, they told the truth, all right. No one in their family has ever had an abortion on American soil. We'll never will, but they do it in Switzerland when they accidentally get knocked up. So they're bullshit. They're hypocrites. So to have beaten us to a standstill with this principle of that we are pro-abortion and they're pro-life is utter and total nonsense. No one is for abortion. I'm gonna call it
for what it is. It's bullshit.
No one is for abortion. No one is for abortion. It is a social ill. The social ill.
Nobody, nobody, encourages someone to go get an abortion. I mean, people
Good
know.
God, no. Well, of course not.
People know.
Of course not.
People have their own situations, but what really burns me up about this subject and about this topic is that all these people that claim to be pro-life and pro this and pro that, as soon as that child is on the breathing air and walking, and,
they're done. Yeah,
they're done. Screw the mother. She goes fends for herself. Screw the child. If they can't eat, it's because the mother's no good.
Right. It becomes a moral equation. Well, bad people are poor. You're only poor because you're a bad person.
The embryo is alive and
sacred.
And sacred.
Yeah, that's sacred.
But
then when you're born, you're crap.
As soon as you start breathing air, as soon as you start breathing air,
all of a sudden you're garbage. Yeah, all of a sudden you're garbage. How did that happen? I was divine a second ago, but then I was born. My mom is on welfare. Now I'm a criminal. What happened? It's like, hey, a second ago you were out there, ready to die for me as an embryo. Now I'm born. You want to lock me up because my mom is on welfare. What happened? Incredible. The hypocrisy. Well, Rochefoucauld said it. I think he said it best. Rochefoucauld. He said, hypocrisy is the homage or the honor that vice pays to virtue. And the Republicans have made it into an art form. The Democrats are pretty good at it too. But the thing is now the Republican Party, and this is what I was writing this morning, has basically turned into the position and the party of Lucifer. And they are, using their Antichrist, their shiny toy, to distract us from, McConnell, packing all these courts with people that have never even practiced law, really. They're just right-wing zealots. So he's packed the courts with that. And they've done a host of other really bad stuff, which we'll find out about when Biden's in office. But the thing is that they have become de facto the party of Lucifer. In other words, it is Mephistopheles in Faust. He goes, what did he say? Ich bin der Geist, der sticht für nicht. I am the one that always says no. That is the Republican Party. That's all they know how to say to America.
Well, here's an example. I just happened to have a banner that I hadn't deleted from a previous broadcast.
Thank God you hold on to them.
This kind of goes to what you were just talking about. Jared Kushner played a key role in the White House pardon free-for-all. If you want to make something happen, go to Jared. A source told Yahoo News about how the Trump administration managed to, he just pardoned all those baby killers from Blackwater.
Now, did they buy those pardons? Now, did those pardons cost them $1 million each? I want to know.
Yeah,
I want you to find out.
That's a great question,
Johnny. I want you to find out.
I don't know how to start, but I'll find out.
Thank you.
But I'll tell you. That's not far-fetched thinking.
I don't think it's far-fetched at all. I don't think it's far-fetched at all. Those four guys from Blackwater, you don't tell me that Eric Princeton pony up $5 million for old Donald to get his boys off. Give me a break.
It very well
Betsy DeVos' brother. You don't think they didn't come up with $5,000 for old Donnie or Jared? They gave $5 million to Jared. Jared, get us in front of Donnie. Donald. I know he'll do it if you tell him to. So Jared Kushner has made a cool $5 million, he spends it, for Donald Trump. Boom. 4 pardons for four psychopaths, mercenaries of Eric Prince. These people should be locked up.
Well, they also, Manafort was let go.
Oh, of course. He's one of Putin's right-hand people. He was the one that took the elections in the Ukraine and put in a right-wing, demagogue, into the Ukraine with the money from Vladimir Putin. I mean, this guy has been doing this, putting these right-wing puppets of Putin in power. Finally, of course, the people caught on. They got rid of the guy, who left with 5, I believe it was 5 armored trucks that had, what was it, $30 billion. The entire Ukraine treasury went to Moscow with this guy. And Putin let him live, even though he failed at his mission of taking over the Ukraine. Manafort ran that guy's campaign, and then he came to America in '98. Was working with Trump since '98. Trump ran for president once. People don't know this. I do. Anyway, so Manafort was Putin's man. That's why he kept smiling. He knew he wasn't going to jail for too long. But but he's old school. He's tough. You would never break a guy like Manafort. Never. Like Papadopoulos, he was going to jail for like 2 weeks for having committed espionage, and he was crying the blues. The guy's a punk. A month or 2 in jail. I mean, come on. You and I probably did that standing on our head.
And then all of us progressives have got to eat shit and watch Julian Assange remain barricaded, locked up. The first person that should be pardoned is Julian Assange.
Well, God, but he doesn't have $1 million to give Donald Trump, so he's not going to get his pardon. He's not going to get his pardon, or slip it to Jared Kushner, But of course not for him. But see, Julian Assange really is the one that put Donald Trump in the White House. But he did it only because there was someone, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth, someone who was worse than Donald Trump who lost the election. People talk about Donald Trump being the Antichrist and everything else, and he is, and I've written that I've proved that he is indeed this entity, this creature, this image of the beast. But Hillary Clinton was Jezebel. Bernie Sanders, as far as I'm concerned, stands in the position of Elijah, but Hillary Clinton was Jezebel. This was an evil, and still is, a very evil woman whose crimes and other things I'm quite well aware of due to Julian Assange. So when it was brought to light, the satanic element in the Democratic Party, this was, like Trumpism is Nazism on steroids, but Hillary Clinton and her husband are in an even worse category with Epstein and all the rest. Although Epstein was one of Donald Trump's best friends. He used to feed him. Trump would be crying on the phone that he was broke, and Epstein would come by with takeout food and feed him. I'm not kidding. They were very close. They were hanging out at Studio 54. Oh man, right. I don't even get me started.
Well, but I lived in the progressives.
I know, but you and the progressives and the people that really saved this country, you saved it. That's why Joe Biden is in the White House. I don't care how big he can smile. We did it. But who are the progressives? Let's look at the fact of this, Johnny. The independents are 40%, 50% of the electorate. They're larger than the
46% actually.
Okay, but they're larger than the Republicans and the Democrats put together, and we don't know it.
Yeah,
we don't know it. If we don't know that we have more power than they do, we don't know it, and they're making sure we don't.
I've been trying to make that point known for years.
Well,
now.
I'm going to help you.
Yeah,
I'm going to help you. And there's a lot of other people that. There's a lot of other people who will help you too.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I've been quite.
Well, they probably tried to drag you into politics for a while, but the thing is, you need real backing to fight in that playground. Ocasio-Cortez is a phenomenon. She is a phenomenon. To come out of the bar and to be able to shake the halls of the high and mighty, is really, she's the reason we have a Green New Deal. Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie put it out there, but she gave it teeth. She really did, because she saw the promise of what Sanders was talking about. Sanders is the second Franklin Delano Roosevelt, for crying out loud. The one that saved America last time, the one that saved America from that fraudulent bank crash in 1929 that the bankers did. They had all their money out of the stock market, and then the crash happened. That should give you a clue. That should give you a clue. I have more than a clue, and I'm sure you do too, Johnny. But you know what? We're going to have to kick this live. I was given the green light today, man. I've been quiet up to now, man. I've been quiet. I really have. I've hung back.
I know you have.
So I was waiting to get the,
what we've done, you know, since we've gotten the capability, you and I, and people don't know it yet, but there's others in the mix as well. It's just a matter of time.
People in our audience. We have people in our audience that are going to be on this show, man. They're going to be, commentators just like we are. You know, we'll find them. Richard Romine. Richard Romine. I want to get that guy. Richard Romine. He writes a daily thing.
No, I've already talked to Richard. Richard has already agreed to come on the program.
Well, you better have me on here with him. You better, because I've been publishing his stuff for 6 months. Yeah,
I know you're on every show. You know that this is a team effort.
Well, I have been publishing his stuff for the last six months every day. I mean, not absolutely everything, but I'd say about 80% of his stuff. I take it, I copy the whole thing, I put one of my pictures on it, and then I put the whole thing on there verbatim. You know, and I usually do
in our website that we had going there before we had to shut it down.
Oh, he was there.
Richard was one of the writers.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Richard,
well, there you go.
Richard was one of the writers. Jen Wren, who I haven't talked to recently, but she is always in the mix as being someone that is a fantastic writer for us. She lives out in Arizona.
Romine has defined a whole genre. Him and Cornel West, you know, these prophetic voices, you know, great voices heard in heaven, man. You know, these guys are really, I mean, these are like, it says at the end, you know, the righteous will shine like lights in the firmament. You know, that's Romine. That's like, these guys are actually doing that. You're one of these people, you know. At the end, you know, it says that the righteous shine forth, but it also says at the end, the trees of the forest would be few, that a child could write them. In other words, there's not many of us left from the 60s when we, you know, had the actual rapture. Oh, they didn't know that? They didn't know that? Oh, I better tell them now. Yeah, that was the rapture. What happened in the 60s in San Francisco? I was there. Okay, that was it, kids. Love and all that good stuff. Yeah, that was the rapture, folks. I hope you didn't miss it. But don't worry, it's still here because it burns in the hearts of people like me and Bernie Sanders and Johnny Hill and a lot of us. Okay, there's not a lot of us left, but that original rapture of when the Holy Spirit came down and stayed with us through the son of St. Francis in the city of St. Francis, by the way. This is in my book, Johnny. But, you know, anyway, those of us, well, it's a chariot of fire. It's Bernie Sanders. Why are they burners? Because we burn with righteous indignation. You know, he said, never lose your sense of outrage. Who's talking? That's Elijah. That's Elijah. And the chariot of Israel is the name of the Father. He comes in. I'll tell you that right now. But go on.
Well, since you're hanging out with me, man, on Christmas Day, and all
Why
of these
not?
things we're talking,
Why not? I can't think of anybody. I can't think of anybody else I'd rather hang out with on Christmas Day.
Me either, man. You have been such a solid brother for me, man. You have helped me through a lot that you don't even realize.
Yeah, but I've come and gone like the wind. I've been battling these financial things, but now that I finally got a line on them, even though the snowstorm seems to have really snarled the mail was bad before with DeJoy, and then everyone mailing their stuff on at the same time on Christmas, and then the snowstorm. So I'm sitting here just like waiting. But the thing is, you have throughout the whole thing, you've been there every day. I look up and I'll go, oh, he's doing another live broadcast, and I go, oh, son of a gun, I should be there, but I've got to. Because I run an estate here in Dublin, in Pennsylvania, and it's
I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about it, but I don't want to overdo it. I don't.
Well, we can't. At this point, we can't overdo it. Not with Georgia, not with McConnell, not with Lucifer as the bloody, Republican Party. These people, when they sold their oath, when they took an oath to the Constitution, when they sold that oath and gave it over to Donald Trump, Okay, that was the end. The end of our country came when we impeached Donald Trump, and the Senate would not take any witnesses, any testimony, and any trial. So there was no justice. At that point, the Republicans took over America. I'm going to tell you right now, that is when our country was taken over. Talk about a coup. That was it right in our faces. When that man walked out and he was free, he should have been taken out of office on the spot. That they didn't do that made them far worse than he ever was.
Guess what? Guess what, sir?
What?
What we are basically talking about here, in a nutshell, is neoliberalism, and neoliberalism sucks. I wrote an article, and I'm kind of going to use this article as a guideline because our whole conversation that we're talking about now can spring up from some of this. And if you'll just bear with me for just a minute.
Well, I'm sure you've got your stuff lined up.
This is a spur of the moment thing because what you were saying made me think of this. This is a long article, part one, and I haven't finished the part two yet. And the title of the article is Neoliberalism: Its History, Its Discrepancy, and Why It's Bad News for Americans. And
because it's faux liberalism. Liberalism. This is not the liberalism of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or like Teddy Roosevelt or any of those people. The real liberalism. What this is the color of law. It is the color of liberalism, which gives yourself the permission to do anything because you're claiming a moral imperative. But you have to act out on the moral imperative. The minute that you break the social contract, there is no liberal or liberalism. What you have is shadow liberalism, which is this fake authority, which lets you, Syria's in trouble. We better go in there. Oh, look at all the oil they have. Well, we can do better. We can take care of this. I mean, come on.
With the meteoric rise of Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders, the term socialism is much in the news these days. With that said, there's another ism which is flying under the radar screen, and that's neoliberalism.
Yep.
All those somewhat hazy and hard to diagnose, neoliberal dogma creeps in and infiltrates just about every aspect of our daily lives, Chris.
And corrupts everything.
Moreover, neoliberalism is the ruling political ideology that both political parties have embraced for decades.
Tell the truth.
It don't give me any pleasure to say that. As a lifelong former Democrat, I was appalled when my research in this article. I was appalled.
Because it's identical. We don't have representational democracy. The same thing you wrote and Romaine wrote a couple of days ago. We had a rebellion against the king because we were being taxed without representation. It says in the polls and the Harvard studies, 83%, they're saying that 83% of what Americans want is never, ever addressed in Congress. They're giving us about 10%. So we don't have a representational democracy. What do we have? Well, I'll tell you what we have. We have a bunch of people voting these people into office, but they're not doing what we want them to do. We want Medicare for all. No, can't do it. Hold it. Representational democracy, hold it. We've got a king now. It's called Congress. The king has just said no. No. We fought a revolution about it. Why? Neoliberalism. We know better than you. We know what's good for you.
Neoliberalism, Chris, has managed its way into our education system, our media, our think tanks, our corporations, our financial markets.
It's everywhere. It's like the shadow of death.
Is dominating our state institutions, even our international institutions like the WTO, the World Bank. Neoliberalism
it's the modus operandi which supports the free market. And let's have a good laugh about the free market, which does not exist. Just like the stock market. People say, the stock market's at 30,000. Yeah, we don't have to worry about America. We're doing great. Hold it. Only about 1% own any stock, and the 10% that owns most of it control it. So it's a playground for the rich, has nothing to do with the economy. nothing to do with Americans. We don't have stock. We don't have anything. And we're looking at 90% of the people don't have stock. So, to hear that, the Dow Jones is at 30,000 is absolutely meaningless. That all that means is that Raytheon and Boeing are having a good year. This is the doctrine of neoliberalism. We go to the Congress, we say, well, all of us want Medicare for all, but it's, as it said in the study, it was strange to find out that what Congress does and what the American people put them into office for do not happen. It doesn't materialize. We vote for people, we put them in there, but somehow our agenda never comes through, but everything else does. In other words, we say, well, we want, like Medicare for all, and we don't want any more wars. We put you into office. The guy votes for a war, says Medicare for all is impossible. Did we get what we voted for? Go on.
No. Okay. Everything you're saying is spot on. And you know what I have found? I have found that so many people are not.
I read the surveys. I read the surveys.
A lot of people
I read the
are
data.
not clear of what neoliberal values are. And I got some bullet points here.
Okay.
Number one, these folks are for strong property rights.
This means rich white males,
right?
Who used to be the only people that could vote.
If you don't own property, you ain't shit. Okay.
Right. Well, in the old days, you could not vote without property. That's what we changed in America. Go on.
Right. Then, as you touched on, these people think the free market should shape society. They think whatever's good for the free markets is good for society. Well,
the opposite is true.
That's right. The
opposite is true.
You go to the Gulf. Well, I call it the third coast. You go to the Gulf, Galveston Bay, outside of Houston, Texas, with all the oil
Tyson's
refineries.
Poison. Tyson has poisoned the entire Gulf of Mexico. Tyson's put a dead zone 20 miles out to sea.
I wouldn't stick my big toe in the Gulf of Mexico.
Good God, you won't have it. It'll be eaten off. And now we got, brain-eating amoeba are coming up from there. Oh my God, don't get me started.
I don't want to hear jack about the the free markets, whatever's good for the free markets.
No, it is absolutely true.
I don't even want to hear that crap.
Okay, finish now. Finish your bullet point, because if I start talking, we're not going to get to it.
Okay, I got two of them. Okay. The value of the free market exchange portrays itself as an ethic that no one or government should hinder in any way. Other words, they don't want you to regulate nothing.
The market rules.
They don't want you to regulate
the market rules. The market rules.
Yeah.
In other words,
the neoliberal doctrine says the contractual relationships in the marketplace will encourage higher social well-being.
No, because they'll go find people that will work for a sandwich, and a union worker in Albuquerque gets jacked. That is a lie. Right.
Does the Donald Trump sweatshop in Indonesia ring a bell?
Yeah. Oh, well, Ivanka's having her stuff made in where? Was it Vietnam or no? Her stuff's being made in China, because they're probably doing it for 10 cents an hour. Let's not get started with this particular thing. But you're absolutely right about this. But you don't have the other side of the coin, okay? Which I'm going to show you right now. If you go, because of the book that I wrote, A City Not Forsaken. If you look at the figure at the end, which is what I've just been writing actually this last month, the last 70 days of Donald Trump, we are looking at the technical fall of Babylon itself, Babylon the Great. And I can show you in two examples why this basically happened. In other words, what we're looking at is with the free market in Revelation. We're looking at chapter 17 or so. There's a woman dressed in all these, silks and everything else. She's riding on this scarlet-colored beast, and they're going, and this is Babylon the Great, and they're saying, and this is what is running the world. This is what's in charge. So people have, said a lot of things, but I actually know what those two figures are, because we are at the end when Donald Trump gets thrown out of office and Babylon actually falls. I haven't really told you about this because I just came to it the last 2 weeks myself. But what it is this. The woman who is on that scarlet-colored beast is the free market. She is free market capitalism. She is capitalism herself. For it says, for it is written, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So who is the great whore of Babylon? Well, she is the lover of money. And who is the scarlet-colored beast who is carrying her? Well, that would be Red China. Red China right now is carrying the whole market. The scarlet-colored beast of a yellow nation is actually carrying the whole market. And oh, by the way, they're holding the American debt, by the way. And usually the one that holds your debt is the master, and the one whose debt it is usually called the servant. Is that not true, Johnny? You know, the one that holds your debt is, you know, the boss. Yeah. China holds America's debt because it bought all those, you know, the bonds, all the free market bonds, everything else. China owns all those.
You got me thinking, Chris, in my study of the Revelation, which is not nearly as thorough as yours has been. You're making me think of that scenario: the king of the north, the king of the south, the king of the east.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It wasn't it China that was supposedly the king of the east, or was that Russia? Russia. I do know.
Well,
Russia and China in the Bible were supposed to.
Well, it's the bondsman nations against the free nations. The bondsman nations at the end are the ones that were under the sway of communism, and the free nations were the ones that were under the what I call idealism, which is really what democracy really is. It's an ideal. So between when the wall went down in 1987, which was 1,000 years after Russia had basically converted to Christianity, it's the missing 1,000 years of the Bible. They say, well, for 1,000 years he reigns, and then, you know, and then Satan comes forth, and everything. But they didn't know when it actually happened. When it actually happened was the 1,000 years that Russia from 987 to 1987 was basically in that position when they took Christianity as their state religion. That was the 1,000 years, and then the beast, it says, is bound, you know, with this chain for 1,000 years and everything else. But what the chain was when they took this Catholicism, and the chain was the rosary. The rosary is what bound Satan, because at that point, the Soviet Union was the largest nation on earth. It was the atom of the nations. All the religions came to Peter and gave him their spiel, you know, and then he said, no, I like Christianity. We're going to pick that. So for the next 1,000 years, we got a Christianized Asia, basically, because Russia is basically the largest thing in Asia. But the bondsman nations that they're talking about in the Bible, the bondsman nations are the ones under the sway of communism, and the free ones are under, you know, the let us say the enlightened light of democracy. Real democracy, of course, hasn't really existed in its pure form since Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and that's why they tried to overthrow him. And you know, they probably would have killed him if they could have gotten away with it. But what we're looking at now is this failure in our doctrine, you know, which is not taking care of the American people, which Bernie Sanders is doing. But I have a larger context because I'm dealing with the revelation and the gospel itself as it plays out in real time, and it's playing out in real time, you know. And you're well aware of this because of the black race going through the civil rights movement, doing their 430 years of captivity here in America before we got our black Martin Luther King, which was our Moses, and then we got our Aaron, which was basically Aaron Presley, because what Dr. King knocked down on the ground, as far as the black and white races, Aaron Presley, or Elvis, the Golden Calf, which came later, but Aaron Presley knocked down in the air between black and white music. After Elvis, you know, people were starting to listen to black music, but Elvis is really what was for our parents on the other side of the generation gap. You have to remember that in ancient Israel, when the Golden Calf came out, those that had worshipped the Golden Calf had to go out into the wilderness for 40 years, and they died. They didn't enter the promised land. The under 20, the young people did, which is the same thing that happened with our generation gap. Ours basically stopped with those that were on the other side of the 50s with Elvis and that whole trip. And then we were on the other side coming into the kingdom. In other words, not an earthly kingdom, but something that is a little bit more cosmic indeed. But this is, I'm just giving you a little bit of background on my book because of what I'm speaking of as far as what is written in the Bible. Capitalism, you know, creative destruction herself is the one riding this scarlet-colored beast, which is basically Red China, you know, scarlet-colored, red, you know, it kind of works out. The beast that is not yet is. It is Marxist because it's societally socialist, but socialist without God. And then it is not Marxist because it is economically capitalist, but yet it is Marxist because it is governmentally communist. So the beast that is and is not, and yet is what you might call someone that discarnate, incarnate. In other words, in a nation which is basically Satan in the flesh. That's why they say a fourth part of the earth will be under the sway of death. That's China, definitely. Anyway, can we finish? Now we did the bullet points. Are you? Oh, you're pulling up something else out of your magic box? Huh? You're gonna bring something else out? More videos?
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got? Come on. Come on.
I want to
dig it out.
I want to test something. You know how we've had trouble playing videos because we need to, go direct into the router and not the using the Wi-Fi. I think I have. I think I figured it out.
Well, they seem to bump.
Yeah, okay. I think I figured out how to get around that, and that is to put my video. This is a video that's that was a part of the article that we're reviewing right now, and I just wanted to see how it works.
Well, let's give it a roll, okay? Before we go to the nation of change, yeah. And I want to read you these quotes from these people talking about what Penn said. We got it from the People for Bernie, great group. We got it from who else? We have it from this cat here, Anand Gridharas. I never heard of him. He's right on the money. And then we have Ilhan Omar. The
stagflation of the 1970s was a period in which a multitude of countries.
See, it lags. Those YouTube videos are going to lag.
Yeah, what they do is the voice is a little bit behind, not too far behind though. And I think the longer you let it run, the closer it comes as it hones in. It's this. And see, this is satellite technology we're using.
Yeah, and what I did, I opened it up full screen.
Experienced high inflation as well as high unemployment.
Oh,
to fully understand what stagflation was, we first need to understand the definition. The word roots from stagnant and inflation. As stagflation
refers goes to history repeating itself,
to a period
where
an economy experiences high inflation alongside stagnant economic growth. The stagflation of the 1970s was caused by a multitude of circumstances. However, poor monetary policies and the rapid increase of oil prices were the main contributing factors. Most current economists identify the oil shock of 1973 as the starting point of stagflation in the 1970s. At the time, most of the world's oil came from a very few select nations, primarily in the Middle East, who worked under the organization named OPEC. However, once Western countries made them unhappy, they used their influence on the world's oil supply to their advantage. OPEC decided to...
Okay, so that works okay. It works okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to media, but see, I'm not as fussy as some people. For some people, what you would have to have is it all pre-recorded, and then just hit the button, and it would play the pre-recorded thing, which you had already re-recorded right off perfectly, and then you would bring that up. And of course, there's going to be no problem with that because it's pre-recorded. That's what it would take for a CNN type platform when we get there, and we will get there, John.
Yeah,
we will get there.
I have, I love going live like this, but if I'm really wanting to do a serious presentation or something, I always do pre-record,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a pain in the butt because, say it's a 17-minute clip and you only want 5 of it, but you got to record the whole bloody thing, so then you can just chop it up because you might want a bit at the end. You might want a bit at the beginning, so you got to just sit there for 17 minutes, and record the whole thing. But then when you play it, it's perfect. So people go, wow, wow, these people are really professional. I mean, I watched Alex Jones and Pachenik and what they did. Pachenik and those people, if you want to know, I say that Hillary put Donald Trump in office because she had CNN give Donald Trump $1 billion of free advertising. But the other half of the equation was the doctrine, the stuff that they were talking about, really the dog whistles that Trump was using, which came straight from Alex Jones. and that whole InfoWars thing, which is conspiracy theory to the max. And George Webb and the other people that were right behind him. But, you know, Pechenik is a spook. He's one of the people that overthrew the democratically elected government of Iran and put the Shah of Iran in there because the democratically elected president wasn't playing ball with America. So they killed him. That's our CIA. Okay, no good, bad boy, go home. No. We're not going there. Okay, Trump killing that Iranian general who was there on a mission of peace under the flag of truce with the prime minister of Iraq, who was unwitting. They set him up. They got him. He got off the plane, got in the car, and they scorched him. The Israelis had people on the ground, and then we had people there, and him and the people in the car all got killed. That was murder. Okay? He was under a flag of truce, and Donald Trump and Jared and all the rest of his little friends might be patting themselves on the back, but that was basically the end of international law. Gone. I mean, that was a war crime. Okay? So this is what we're dealing with. Okay? Neoliberalism to the max, you know, and I mean, like, let's look at the neoliberal, you know, liberal roots going back to Hitler, you know, where he closed down all the unions and then he locked up all the activists and then the rest of the people he killed. I mean, that's the same thing, isn't it?
Yep. Yes,
to control the market, control the market. You know, I mean, you know, they talk about fascism, but the underlying ideology is always neoliberalism. In other words, we're doing this for the best reasons, and we are the moral high ground here, and we know what we're doing. So basically, what the government is saying is, we know better than you. So sit down and shut up. And we know that 90% of what America wants, they're not getting from their Congress, but we keep electing them and sending them there anyway, without figuring out that we haven't gotten any of our agenda at all. In other words, Bernie Sanders keeps saying, well, 80% of Americans, want, $15 an hour. So that's the will of the people. It has to be done. Well, why hasn't it been done? Joe Biden has threatened to make it his first, act in office to give a nationwide, minimum wage. That's where we should be building the fire. We should have 100,000 people now at the White House as they build his stand for his inauguration, saying, hey, Joe, don't forget, when you get sworn in, the first thing they're going to do, right, is make $15 an hour the national minimum wage, right? The first thing, Joe, right? Right, Joe? Right? Mm-hmm. That's what we should be doing right now. That's what we should be doing. Because that's doable.
Hey,
right.
Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, keep talking. I'm kind of queuing something up.
Okay, good. Well, let me finish.
Yeah, you go ahead and finish your thought, and then when we get done with this thought, I kind of want to touch on the Georgia Senate election.
Oh, please, let's go there. I mean, it's only the fate of America and the world riding on it. Right. I told you. Remember, I said there's 20 issues that are each of global importance. That we could talk about. Probably all day. That are facing us on. The ecocide, the coming death of the planet in 6 years if the oceans get too much acidity, and all life will die because the plankton in the oceans provides 50% of our oxygen. Everything that I talk about is documented. In other words, I can document what I say chapter and verse from the places I read it in the media and other places. So when I talk about, that if those oceans die, that 90% of all life on Earth will die, that this has happened 6 times in the Earth's history, that the oceans, when they get to a certain level of acidity, it goes into a, what you might call a, you can't stop it. It's a chain reaction. And after a certain point, there's no return. That means that the human race would be wiped off the face of the earth, that we'd be extinct. This is 6 years away.
Right.
However, what's more important right now than that, more important than the death of all life on earth, is Georgia. Because if we can't save America, we can't save the world, and we could save the world. We could make that not happen, where the oceans become so acidic that 90% of all life dies along with us, because we need that oxygen for our brains to work. Okay, so that is how important it is. Okay, but you have to have context. This thing that's happening in Georgia right now is absolutely bloody critical, or we're never going to get to save those oceans and all life on Earth from the ecocide we're facing. And that's just one of 20 issues we have to deal with. Fukushima, every fish in the Pacific Ocean is showing traces of radiation, and some of them are showing quite a bit. You don't think that's a problem? Let me tell you, it's the biggest problem that we have, because if the Pacific Ocean goes, we're going to go. Okay, and that's not 6 years. We're talking about radioactive poisoning, where we have basically poisoned ourselves. We have killed ourselves. Okay, Fukushima, that's another global problem that will take all the nations working together to solve or die.
Right.
Up to us. So that's what, number 19 or number 20. I mean, I just talked about two of the things that are absolutely critical for the future of the human race.
And
George is more important than that. George is more important than that. Yeah.
What I've got queued up here is my Audacity program. This is where I do my auto editing. And what I was trying to do, I want us to keep talking. I from being from the radio background, I always like to put a little.
Well, college radio. But you came up on college radio, didn't you? You were doing dances. You were doing commentary.
Well,
I came up.
No, I didn't come up in college. I came up. I was a homegrown boy. I practiced DJing in my room. I had me a turntables and a little mixer, and I practiced in the house. And then one day I said, I want to work on radio. So I went around to all the rock and roll stations in the local city I lived in, and they wouldn't have nothing to do with me because I was young, didn't have any experience, and you
didn't know anybody. Okay, go on.
So I didn't listen to their radio stations to begin with. If you want to know the truth, I was always into WOKN FM 102.3 The Magic, which was the urban radio station in the market. It was the black radio station, and I took my little white tail right on down there, and I was greeted with the utmost respect and given an opportunity.
Open arms.
I was given an opportunity, and and that's where I evolved from there. But
don't you think that story of yours? But don't you think that story of yours is the entire story altogether? You went to the white stations, the white boy that wanted to go out there and get the word and do the whole thing. No, they're not interested. You don't know anybody. You go to the black station, the thing, and say, well, I've got these credentials. I've been able to do that. And they go, hey, sounds like you're a happening cat, kind of a self-starter, motivated. Okay, you know what? I think we'll take a chance on you. You know what I mean? So it's the black people.
Well, what I had been able to manage to get some DJing, spots in some nightclubs around town, and had built up a little bit of a following DJing locally, and that went a long way. But what I wanted to do here is I wanted to see if you can hear. See, this is from an application, my Audacity program that I this is where I do all my audio editing and mixing and all that type of stuff.
Cue it up, put it on there. Let's take a listen to this.
I just threw some files together.
Okay.
Can you hear that from where you're at?
I'm listening right here. I'm looking at a thing that's up on the screen, but there's no audio. Hold on. Let me look at my stuff here. Okay. So we've got this, but I've got no audio. I'm looking right at it though, and we're live, but I'm not hearing the. This is a. Oh yeah, I can see the line moving, but we're not getting to hear the data.
Because I'm hearing it on my end.
Oh, you are? Well, son of a gun.
Yeah.
Let me. Where is my little? Where's my control stuff? I usually have a bunch of little buttons down. Yeah, I don't see them.
what I was trying to accomplish, I got it. It will work. It will work. I can, but I want to try something else too. If you got, are you there still, Chris?
Yeah, I accidentally bumped myself off the visual part of this. This stupid phone is actually okay. If I go back to, I'm trying to go back to the actual thing that I was using here, which was you. Let me see if I can get back to our stations. Yeah. Now I knocked myself off by hitting that bloody button. Now how do I get back?
I've got
here?
your picture, but I can hear your vocals perfect. It's just your picture has gone. Your cam has gone.
I'm looking at settings. I'm trying to figure out how to get back. Now, take me off the other channel. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, brother.
Yeah, take me off the other channel. Now put this one live. Yeah, put this one live. And I've got all the stuff downstairs. Yeah, I've got mic, cam, mic, chat, and then leave. So now I've got all my stuff up. So just take off that other channel that I was on, kill it, and now we'll just start with this one. Okay, good.
I did. Now, and we're just this is we're hanging out in the forum. It's Johnny and Chris. It's the all new House of Public Discourse. Merry Christmas.
I can get Sean. I could get Sean if I can get I'm going to dial him in on my other phone. See if I can get Sean to come over and hang out with us today. But anyway, now am I supposed to be able to be hearing this thing that I'm seeing up in front of me?
Not yet.
Okay. It looks interesting. Yet. I'll tell you. It looks interesting. This Audacity thing. Yeah, I can see the levels. The meters they're bumping.
Now that's Audacity. That's my audio editing program. This is our DJ booth, if for lack of term. This is our control
okay.
board.
All right. I'm with you. I'm down with it. I mean,
I literally could do live mixing right here with this, and that's
we got to get this YouTube. Yeah, we got to get this YouTube thing happening too, because I could rule on YouTube. I really could from the Christian side. But see, I'm not really a Christian because I tell people about my Father Jesus and I talk about Christ, and that's great. But I say, well, it's great that you're talking about him, but you know what? Christ wasn't a Christian. He was the Son of God. Yeah, he was the Son of God. Christians are an imitation of Christ. And as it said in Synanon, imitation is suicide. After a certain while, you have to get to the original. Now, of course, the joke is that the only good imitation is the one that shows up the kind of ineptness of the original. In other words, that the original wasn't that good, and then you do better. Like the Music Machine doing Talk Talk. I could do a better, version of Talk Talk, and it would blow them away. But it's 30 years later. Of course, it's going to be better. The thing is this: to really get to the original message, which is like something that you've done through chipping away at this monolith of neoliberalism, this corrupt ideology that doesn't, if people talk about the values of neoliberalism, it doesn't have any values. That's the problem. It doesn't have any values. It's amoral. In other words, like Donald Trump, it's without morals. Donald Trump is the perfect neoliberal vehicle. Am I right?
You're absolutely right.
I mean, what are we talking about? So what are we talking about? We are talking about a ruling ideology, which is authoritarian, fascist, everything else that they're talking about, but it's in the background. What Donald Trump did, I'm not going to, put a blessing on his head, but what he did was he showed us the actual problem that we're having in the system and how easy it was for someone like him to do what he did. In other words, if there was ever an object lesson in history, if Donald Trump is the genius they say he was, which he's not, they would say, well, Donald Trump did all this to show us what we need to fix. And he was actually trying to help us. This is the bullshit we're hearing from these people, No, he wasn't. He's an opportunist. He saw an opportunity. He went for it. He knew he could lie his way into office. He took Bernie Sanders' platform. He promised everybody everything. He destroyed Hillary Clinton, who thought he was an idiot. But he's not an idiot. He's crazy, but he's not a fool. He's also an actor. He's been on TV. He did a reality show. He knows how to act. He knows how to act angry. He knows how to act happy. He knows how to act like he's going to chop your head off. He's an actor. Right. Okay? The Republicans found out how good of an actor he was when he decimated all 10 of them, Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush. Did they ever wonder how this idiot, this fool, could do it? Because he's not an idiot or a fool. Okay? Right. That's the problem. He's very sharp. Unfortunately, he's also a fool when it comes to his own ego and narcissism and everything else. But he was trained by Roy Cohn. So, this guy didn't come out of nowhere. This guy came out of somewhere. Biblically, where I encounter him, though, is in his last 70 days. The 70 days from November 3rd, where the judgment of America came through, where we fought for the will of God. This is what's going to be added to my book. The American people stood down death, the plague, stood down threats that were going to have armed men at the station and everything else, stood it down, went out there and stood in line for 10 hours. And who did it? The black women of America saved our ass. Them and their white sisters and the rest of us from the 60s who are still standing went out there and stood there for 10 hours and gritted our teeth and smoked the joint, and just said, I'm not leaving here till I vote. And that's why we're still standing right now, because they saved America. They saved America from the 70 million idiots who were following the beast and his image. The beast, the white nationalist beast of Adolf Hitler, which is our xenophobia, and then its white supremacist image, the image of the beast, which is Donald Trump. And Trumpism is Nazism on steroids. Okay? So from white nationalism to white supremacy is what we're looking at with those that worship the beast and his image. And they are destined for the lake of fire. This is in my book. This is in the Revelation. But politically, it has a lot to do with what's going on in America right now, because this is the trenches. This is the front line. Okay? The rest of the earth is actually civilized. They're giving their people $2,000 a month to sit home, not go to work. They have their jobs and everything's fine. They're doing it in New Zealand. They're doing it in England. They're doing it in Canada. They're doing it in Mexico. They're doing it in the civilized part of the world. Okay? They're taking care of their people. Not America, though. Here, we're just serfs and slaves and cannon fodder. Do you see the problem?
Right. I wrote an article about it.
I'm not surprised. You've been writing about this for 10 years.
Neoliberalism has brought us back to the time of the feudal system. It's the feudal system.
Well, it's feudalism. It's corporate feudalism. Those big buildings downtown are the feudal castles of the modern dark ages. And we are the cyber serfs. I wrote an article on this. We are the cyber serfs who have chained ourselves to an oar. In other words, in the old days with the Roman galleys, the galley slaves would be locked at their oar, with the hammer. Their chain would be beaten on their hand, and they would be at that oar until they died. What have we done? We have taken our cell phones and chained ourselves to that, and we are no different than the galley slaves of Rome. We have chained ourselves to this technology, but it has become our master, and we are its slaves, and the corporate people have pretty much figured out how to own it, with Bezos, Amazon, with Zuckerberg, Facebook, the people at the Twitterverse and everything else. However, it's a double-edged sword, because people like you and me can take the media and hijack it, like you and me are doing. In other words, I'm talking about the revelation as it relates to our political reality. You're talking about our political reality as it relates to your prophetic understanding. Okay, so we're at two sides of the same coin. The thing is, I've just got a little bit more information because I put in a lifetime of work, and also I did a few other things as well. Whereas you were out there going for the social issues, getting in fistfights with racists back in where the hell was it? It wasn't Kentucky. It was the one that's
North Carolina. It's
Eastern
North Carolina.
Yeah, it was Carolina, Kentucky, and then there's one more out there that's kind of a slide-in state. Well, Memphis, Kentucky. But you were getting in fights, talking with people about civil rights. So you've been at the front lines of this, Johnny, since you were a teenager.
I was getting in fights because I had a puppy love relationship with a wonderful black girl, and I love her to this day. We knew each other from the second grade. And
good for you. Okay, you were childhood lovers. Yeah, they hated you. And they hated you. And they hated you for it.
Oh, the parents, man. The parents were worse than the kids.
Well, of course they were, because that's where the kids learned it. That's where they learned it from their parents. No one's born a racist. You have to learn it. Children, if they're not taught it, they don't do it. It's like being a dope fiend. No one's born a dope fiend. You got to learn how to be a dope fiend. It's like no one that came out of the womb saying, I need some smack. Do you have a spike? No, you got to learn it. You got to learn how to hate your neighbor. Of course, Christians are supposed to love your neighbor, but not in the South. You don't have to. You can still be a good Christian and hate black people all you want, and you're a good Christian. Do you think there's might be a problem with that?
Yeah.
Because my father Jesus said, well, they said, what is the first and great commandment? He said, well, love the Lord thy God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength, and your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. But what did he say? Love your neighbor as yourself. So yourself isn't even in your body. Yourself is in your neighbor, which means your neighbor has to be treated like you would treat yourself, which means your neighbor essentially stands in a position of God. Because you treat yourself pretty well. I think we all do. So what they're doing is they're saying your neighbor, that's you. Wow, that means you wouldn't be able to go to bed unless your neighbor had a place to sleep. That means you wouldn't be able to eat your dinner unless your neighbor had something to eat that day. That means okay, so that's the whole thing right there. Okay, I cracked myself on that little rock. Your neighbor as yourself, whoa, that's not so easy. Your neighbor's, the guy that lives right next door to you. That's not your brother. That's not your family. That's a stranger. But he's not your stranger because my father Jesus said, that is you.
Right.
Yeah. Christianity hasn't quite caught up with that idea yet. But some of us have, like you and the rest. Your black girlfriend. I had a black crush when I was in junior high school. Lulu Trout. I was put together with her friend Monica. But the thing is, when we're looking at where things really stand, we've learned these attitudes. We've learned this behavior. It wasn't born with us. I think that we've reached the point now where we are been given the tools to manufacture our own destiny. It can go either way, Johnny.
Hey, you're listening to the all-new House of Public Discourse Radio.com. You're with jamming with DJ Johnny. I've got my friend Chris along, and we're just shooting the breeze and testing out our software here. And
you're doing a pretty good job.
I'm noticing though. No. My DJ booth, my board, when I put it in my StreamYard Live, it's lagging a little bit too.
Okay.
But that's why I'm doing this, Chris. I'm testing shit out.
Well, you're gonna have to blow it. You're gonna have to blow out that board one way or the other.
This board is today.
You might as well do it today. You might as well do it today, man. Because I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean?
I'm hanging out in the forum. I don't know. I know it's Christmas Day. My wife is busy cooking our Christmas dinner, and it snowed. It snowed its ass off in the Motown Get Down last night.
Oh, did it?
I've got the serious white Christmas going on, man.
Oh my God. Well, there you go. I mean, as you guys are digging yourselves out, we're looking at what's kind of showed up here in America. Where the American people basically voted us out of this problem. They faced death. They went out there in the voting lines, 10 hours of some of them, mainly the black people who had to pay the heaviest dues. They closed down all the polling places, pulled it all out. And what happened? Stacey Abrams was robbed of being the governor of Georgia, but she was still able. And my friend Glenn Emery is a producer at CNN. I told him to turn the heat up because she was able to deliver Georgia to Joe Biden.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And what's happening in Georgia now? She's using the same people, the same organization, the same drive to do the same to where we're going to get Bonnie and Clyde, the Bonnie and Clyde of the Republican Party, out of Georgia. But that means we might have a chance to save America and the world. Remember when we were doing our little
I don't know. I don't think I'm overstating this, Chris. But
I don't
this
think so.
Election in Georgia
could be the most
important election in my lifetime, as far as meaning, can we move forward from these horrific policies that we've been under through? I mean, I want Mitch McConnell's ass out of there.
10 years of Mitch McConnell, man. Barack Obama walked into office, the guy who single-handedly made the phrase in the Constitution, all men are created equal. Barack Obama turned that into the truth. He walked into the White House and McConnell said, I'm going to make you a one-term president. We're not going to pass any of your legislation. Goodbye. And he might as well have just called him the N-word right to his face. You know what I mean? Because that's what it was. That was the racist face of our white ass Senate. Okay, so 10 years we've got nothing from McConnell. So what do we have? I'll tell you what we have. We have one-party rule. We're living in communist Russia under a one-party Politburo that has absolute power and has blocked all of our legislation, and the graveyard is all the bills the House passed, the American people that are sitting on his desk. And furthermore, McConnell broke the Constitution. He broke the law. I told you when the nation ended, when he took over, but he broke the law and should have been at that point impeached and arrested when he would not let Barack Obama appoint a Supreme Court justice to the bench. And when he did that, he said, I am the king. That's what he said to Barack Obama.
Take a quick station break.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm with you, brother. I'm back.
Hey, I'm right here. I mean, I tell you, man, I got the green light today, man. You're going to find out what this green light is. Okay, because the prophetic strain of what I was given, the gift of prophecy and everything else, is for a reason. It's for a reason that he chose the least. I'm the least in the kingdom of heaven, but my servant John is the greatest. And, as you said, who humbles himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Who did it? Well, I'll tell you who did it. My servant John. They call him John the Divine. They call him a lot of things. But the other part of it happens to be where you and I have actually met right here. I am the least in the kingdom of heaven. My servant John is the greatest. But between the least and the greatest is everybody. Why? Because the last judgment, the one we're at now, the hour of temptation that has come upon the earth, where the high and mighty have all sold themselves. And a lot of them have sold themselves to Donald Trump, which is surprising people. Lindsey Graham, this one, that one, McConnell in his own way. Why did they sell themselves to Donald Trump? Because they are afraid of him. Why? Why? He's supposed to be stupid and just an idiot. But he's not. What is he? Well, he's the Antichrist. He is the devil incarnate. But he's the last incarnation of Lucifer. In other words, this is the last ride, kids. We're looking at the end of Babylon. When Donald Trump is taken out of office, the 70 days represent the 70 years of the Babylonian captivity. Russia went through it from 1930 to 1917 to 1987. After 930 years, they were taken over by the Karl Marx, the false prophet. communism, basically. But 930 years is the age at which Adam died. If you look at 987, when they took Christianity as a state religion, to 1917, that's 930 years. That was the life of Adam. So at that point, Adam had died, and we went into 70 years of a Babylonian captivity, an atheistic philosophy, which had taken place in Russia for 70 years. Okay, so let's fast forward to now. Donald Trump, at the judgment that fell upon him on November 3rd, where he was voted out of office, we beat his 70 million, the army of the Antichrist, we beat them by 80 million of ours. And then we voted him, and basically said, you lost. But to get him out of office, the lame duck, the golden goose of the media, that whose tweets are their golden eggs that they make all their money on. Donald Trump is, the hottest media property there is. Oh, Donald Trump farted. We've got it live. Come watch. And of course they all do. But that's 70 days from November 3rd to January 20th. Real estate's something that happens in the Revelation, the fall of Babylon the Great. Now people are going, oh, what are you talking about? Babylon the Great? Well, that's this whole thing, and it goes on and on. And no. Melania Trump, unfortunately, has fallen into her final position, and the scarlet-colored beast of Trump. Remember, Trump's patents and all of the things that he got with Ivanka, with their copyrights, are all in China. Donald Trump, let me just tell you this, Johnny. Donald Trump was given the copyrights to have massage parlors in Red China, to have escort women and services in Red China, to have women that will, be with you for a certain price in Red China. In other words, he is their pimp. So he really represents Red China's American face, which of course is the most fallen, sexual, kind of disreputable part of Western society. That is what Trump represents to Red China. He's going to run their action. He's going to run the whorehouses and stuff, just like his daddy did up in Canada, along with the booze and the brothels and everything else. Okay, so that's the other part of Donald Trump.
I understand the sentiment that Donald Trump is rich and probably won't go to jail. And
he's going to jail. He's going to jail.
The RICO laws are no joke.
He has 63 indictments on him right now in New York. Okay, on January 21st, those 63 sealed indictments will be unsealed. And I'm going to tell you that the Attorney General of New York is just waiting. And she's just won. She's just won.
Do you remember?
There's quite a few.
Do you remember, sir, the very first time we ever attempted to do something collectively? We had that rudimentary free conference call software, and we did that phone call over the phone about
it
Trump
worked,
leaving.
But it worked. We pulled it off.
We did pull it off.
Yep.
But
you pulled it off.
We knew.
Oh yeah.
He left New York. That's the reason he left New York.
He had to leave because they were on to him, and Michael Cohen is the one that dumped the information on him. When the American people won this battle against the army of the Antichrist, it was because Donald Trump had basically lost his turf. The minute he got driven out of New York, it showed that the Antichrist could be defeated. Okay, so he was taken out. The American people stood up en masse, went out and voted. 10 hours in, 100-degree heat, they did the whole thing. Every single one of them standing in a position of basically a national messiah. Everyone who went out there and put their life on the line to face down the plague, they faced death. They faced death down and delivered us back the Republic. Okay, that's the beginning of the foundation for the kingdom of God on earth. But it's the kingdom of David. It's a kingdom of music and sound and light, because it is basically a kingdom of justice. And who is justice? Well, Bernie Sanders says, well, there's economic justice, and then there's social justice, and then we're going to have racial justice, and then we're going to have environmental justice. But what's justice? Well, people don't know really what justice is because they've never seen justice, but they're going to, because justice is the bride, the Lamb's wife. That's where I stand as my soul liveth. Okay? So I'm giving you the straight skinny of where I have the authority and the power and the might to say these things. I do not speak of myself.
I know you don't.
Yeah, and neither did Bernie Sanders. Neither did Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has been the greatest fighter for justice we've ever seen because he stands in a position of Elijah.
Yes, he did, and all this
that's
bad talk I hear, all these people bashing Bernie.
Because he's a politician. Because he's a politician too.
Well,
because he's a politician too. Never took a dime of corporate money.
Some things. He didn't do some things.
He never took a dime of corporate money. He never took a dime of corporate money. He is a virgin in a whorehouse. Okay? He never took a dime of corporate money. How dare anybody speak a word against that man? They don't even know who he is. I'll tell you who he is. Yeah. Martin Luther King marched and was able to bring our nation into the light. But who was 20 feet behind him in a lot of those places? You'll see this little white-haired kid. That's Bernie Sanders, folks. Okay? They killed Dr. King. But that 40 years that Bernie put in is where he took the mantle of Dr. King and became the voice, the moral authority of America, our moral conscience. Remember the last time you saw that? Oh, yeah, that was Dr. King, wasn't it? Yeah, you're damn right it was. So that's where Bernie stands, and no one can tell me different because no one can disannul my grasp of the truth. The truth. Okay? That's who Bernie Sanders is, the guy that paid the dues. Now, we of the 60s, you and me, we lifted the water. Okay? We carried it around. We, talked about love and peace and harmony and justice, and we're not supposed to be doing these things. And gosh, we really shouldn't poison the earth. And, why are we fighting all these wars for no reason? And, why are we so down on, black people? They haven't really done anything to us. What do we, why are we oppressing them? And, and on and on and on and on. We have fought every war. We have fought every cause. Okay? We even joked about it. Lost causes are the only ones worth fighting for. But the thing is, we carried the flame. We have been the keepers of the flame since it was lit in San Francisco. How do I know? I was there. I was 12 years old. I stood on Haight Street. I saw the river of fire. I saw them. The Jordan of love. I saw it. No one can tell me anything about that. That's what this book that I wrote, A City Not Forsaken, is about. And don't worry, everyone's going to get a copy who listens to me or to this one way or the other. Because when I'm at those book signing little things, I will write their name in the book and give it to, and I will say, now your name has been written in the book of life. Because that's what my book is. Okay? But there's a little bit more to the story. You are one of the characters in this book.
Your book is going to be a bestseller. I claim that right now.
It'll never go out of print. It'll never go out of print. It can't, because it is the final book in the Bible. When I send it to my publisher, my long-suffering publisher, Paul Cohen, up at Monkfish Publications, he read the 60-page outline. He says, so basically your book kind of finishes the Bible. And I said, well, yeah, it does. It does explain, And he goes, and he said, what was your name again? He was kind of going, so like, where did this mushroom come from? Where did this cat, come up from? Now, of course, people are going to say a lot of things, but the one thing that I do about, the gospel and revelation of my Father Jesus is that I offer the idea that the gospel represents the word of God, and that the revelation really represents the will. So what my book is really kind of predicated on is a process of initiation, to where the reader actually has to go through the 7 overcomings, which actually represent the classic ascension of the path of the just, as they are in the 7 churches. There are 7 overcomings in the churches. Has anyone sat down and tried to figure out what they actually were? Well, I was told what they were, because that is the path of the just itself. So those that walk it will end up sitting down with their Lord on the throne of God. But my Father, the living God, actually put 7 overcomings there for a reason. It's not for the faint of heart, Johnny.
I tell you, my brother, Yomo be there, bro. Yomo be there.
Well, you're there with me. I mean, what I'm telling you, if it does not agree, I tell people, mine is an experiential faith. If it doesn't resonate with you.
The song that's playing right now is really a hymn. It's a Christian hymn from James Ingram and Michael McDonald on the all-new
really?
House of Public Discourse Radio.com. A song, Yomo Be There, Heavenly Father.
You're kidding.
Check it out.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
Check it out, bro.
Put it on.
It's on right now.
How come I can't hear it? Hold on. Let me see. Why can't I hear this music?
You cannot hear it? Hold on. Let me fix it.
Yeah. I can see the dials bumping, so I know it's on there. Okay.
No, it's my fault.
Well, it's okay. That's why we're doing this. I
didn't have the share audio on. So just give me a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not going anywhere. This is my Christmas. This is my Christmas.
Yeah. Now
you're my Christmas, man. You're my Christmas, man.
But I just I gotta wait for my my program to respond. I screwed up, man.
Well, you didn't screw up because I'm still here.
Oh,
you didn't screw up because we're still on.
Screwed up. I screwed up the music. I should have had music playing in the background, and you haven't been able, and no one knows it because I didn't click the damn share audio button.
Well, we'll get it this time.
Hang tight.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. You couldn't get rid of me. You couldn't beat me off here with a 2x4. What are you talking about, man?
My program is locked up on me like it did the other day, and I'm just going to have to leave you for a minute and come back.
Well,
don't go nowhere.
That's how you can do it with these electronics. I mean, when my computer, usually when I want to get to the bank, that's when the computer decides to freeze. It's only when I'm doing something important. My computer seems to know when I'm really in a rush. I guess I must hit the keys differently because whenever I'm in a rush on my computer, it stops working.
I think that's what just happened to me.
if you really have to do something that's important, all of a sudden the computer goes, "Oh, important day," and Satan just kind of goes blip, and all of a sudden you're like twisting in the wind, But the truth of it is that your little program will come back. There's really no way to stop us, Johnny. There really isn't any way to stop us because we have the one thing that guarantees success. There's one thing and one thing alone in this world which guarantees that you will be successful in what you do. And actually, Donald Trump is a pretty good example of that also. And he's called persistence. In other words, you just never give up. You just never quit. And
that's right.
the only people that make it, Donald Trump's a very good example of this. Look at how this guy, who everyone says is an idiot and a fool, but yet he ended up becoming president of the United States because he believed in a narrative and a myth which he himself acted upon, was instrumental in, and got other people to join in and help him accomplish. Now, he doesn't know that they did this because the Russians said this guy would be a perfect tool to be able to destroy America from within. We'll take this vainglorious, egotistical little Mussolini here, and we'll make him into our battering ram, and we'll destroy American democracy, and then we'll be the only guys left standing who really know what's going on, and we'll take over. And that's exactly what they did. So Donald Trump never knew that he was being played. He always thought that he had just gotten in a spot, and they've got some bad information on him. He'll just have to play ball with, Putin until he can get out from under, like he's done dozens of times with other people, I'm sure, and just, went on his merry way. But as you and I know, and some of the others who are a little bit more aware of how people like Donald Trump can get used by Satan or Vladimir Putin, who is the fascist Christ of Russia, they worship him in Russia. Why? Because he made vodka free. But that means that people in Russia, their lifespan, as Barack Obama once said at that famous speech of his, the lifespan of most men in Russia is 60 years old. They're dead because they're alcoholics. A nation of alcoholics is all Vladimir Putin has been able to really produce because he made vodka dirt cheap. And I mean cheap. But that's the death of the soul of Russia. So I don't like Vladimir Putin, but he's a very smart, wily person. You want to find out about Vladimir Putin? Ask Angela Merkel. He grew up in East Germany, but he was in West Germany because he can speak German better than the Germans. Okay, Mr. Putin did not come out of the void of space. Okay, he came out of an ideology and a set of principles that were forged to destroy this world by a very powerful individual indeed. His name is Satan. Satan, and Putin is the fascist Christ of Russia. Look at Xi of China. This guy is not our friend because, according to the revelation, China is under the sway, a fourth part of the earth is under the sway directly of death. Death. That's the nation of it. The scarlet-colored beast of Revelation is actually it's kind of the son of perdition of the nations, the Judas of the nations, the one that would betray them all to take over this world. And they're smarter than most of the nations put together. China is not stupid. They're taking their time because they feel that their victory is assured. And at the rate we're going, it is. Except, of course,
Chris,
I arrived.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Let's try this. This is a song
by Ingram,
by James Ingram and Michael McDonald.
Michael McDonald, he was on
he was the Doobie Brothers, man. He's the Doobie Brothers.
But he was also on the Steely Dan albums. He was doing background vocals. This guy's amazing, man. Michael McDonald.
He's got a wonderful voice. Now I want you to tell me, can you hear this?
Okay, I'm listening with all my ears on. I've got now. Should I hit the cam mic thing here? No.
Okay, can you hear that?
No, I can't hear this. Let me see.
It's playing.
Yeah, but
and the audio is on.
Yeah, I can see it bumping here. Now, did you sign me out of that other channel? Is that interfering with me?
No.
Yeah.
You should be able to hear that.
I can see the faders. Let me go into my own settings. No, I've got everything on, full on. So if I can't hear it, that means that there's a programming trouble coming from our platform. I wonder if we're being blocked. Yeah, but I've heard music on this channel before, though. Yeah, I've heard music on this channel before while we were talking. Remember? Yeah, Johnny Hill, House of Public Discourse Forum. Yeah, that's on live. You're in the show.
I was. I don't know. I would think that you should be able to hear that. And what I'm going to do when we get done here, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a recording. You know.
Right.
I'm gonna do a recording. I'm gonna make a mixtape and I'm gonna record it here instead of I'm gonna make a video of me making a mix.
Well, that is fine because I could see the board and the and all the dials where we're going there. The levels were going on. Now it's off, but before I could see that it was going, but I wasn't part of the feed. What you'll probably have to do is do your direct feed to me. That's probably the only way that
it should. No, everybody should be able to hear this. That's out there. They should be able to hear it live. Yeah.
Oh, because I've heard your station before. Yeah, we're live. This is
not my station. This is my DJ This is my board. This is an application within my own computer. And I have recorded. I don't know. The way to test to see if it works is for me to do a recording when we get done. Here being online, I can go back and because you should be able. Let's try one more time.
I saw it blinking on. I saw the green light. I saw the green light. Does that mean it's going to be on? Oh boy, I know you're not going to be. I know you're not going to be happy until you've got that radio station blasting out of these speakers. I know you, man.
Okay,
I know you.
All right, what it is. We're all learning here. I'm trying. Can you hear it now?
I don't hear anything, but I see the faders moving, and I see some dials spinning pretty heavy. I don't think it's. Yeah. I don't think it's a fault of my phone either. I could go turn on my computer and see if that would make a difference. But I don't think so because.
Okay, well, you can do that when you don't have to. I mean, if you can't hear it, you can't hear it.
Well, I'm going to, no, but I have two phones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to my other phone and I'm going to go to the same thing here. So it's got to be on, if it's off on both of ours, then I'll know that it's a problem coming from the channel. But if it's only coming off, if I got it on this other phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log on this phone as well. I got two phones. So here, let me hit this. Okay, I'm going on StreamYard here now. So let's see what we can do here. Yeah, because I can see. Oh no! Now you turned it off. Yeah.
No, I've got the board up on the screen right now.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the dials. The dials aren't spinning. That means there's.
Oh
no
yeah.
music
I've got it turned off. Yeah, you want me to hit it again?
Yeah, go on. Okay. Now they're spinning. I can see the lights going. So if I can see it, you know what I mean? If I can actually see it, that means that I've got half the application because I can see it on our setup right here. So I can see the dials moving, but I can't hear them. That's a little
well.
unusual.
I will find out when I do my recording, and also when I do the playback. Also, it could be they could be blocking the music. They could be blocking the music because it's copyright.
Oh, Facebook, the new thing coming from, and that's YouTube too. But also,
but I don't think so. I think you should be able to hear it. You're inside my studio. You should be able to hear this.
Yeah, your stuff.
So I don't know.
Hear. Yeah, because that's copyright material. It is, but if it's in a private studio and you killed the mic for the outside feed, we should be able to listen to it ourselves. But that's not what's happening. So there's something, I think it's technical, because I don't think that they have the reach to come into your studio and shut you down simply because you're playing. I mean, you could be.
No. They can shut me down on Facebook, but they can't shut me down inside my studio.
Right. Well, I'm watching you on Facebook right now. Now hold it. Let me go. I'm trying to go on my other phone and go live with you here. Okay, StreamYard. Okay, this time it came up. Okay, now I'm waiting for the little thing to show up so I can click onto this. This old LG phone, it's a little ancient. It's actually held together with clips and wire. Say the truth. StreamYard, yeah, it's not giving me StreamYard on this thing. This old bloody phone. But see, I could test right away if you're being blocked off Facebook. Okay, StreamYard. And this time it didn't even go that far. Let's see what's going on here. I'm gonna power off and restart my phone. I've got a Sprint phone, an LG, one of the first LGs ever made, actually. That was my first phone. I got it for like $6 a month. But that was my. That's when I got off Virgin Mobile, when I had one of these little Obama phones, and that's.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Chris. Hold on just a second.
I'm looking. I'm seeing those dials. I'm seeing those faders moving. Don't you worry.
Hold on just a second.
I've got
my sweet honey just came in here.
Oh boy.
And she's been listening to us with our live broadcast here, and she's hearing the music just fine. She said what she had to do on her phone, she's listening on a phone just like you are. She had to go down where your volume icon is, and the volume was you need to check maybe volume on your phone is the only reason you might not be hearing it.
It says in call. I got in call, ringtone, media. They're all the way up.
Your volume is your volume all the way up. Okay, well then it might be your phone. Maybe your phone just can't hear it because we are getting music It is working. No, don't bring that. No, that's not the show I'm talking about, huh? Oh, okay, Chris. I just found out she's not listening to the same one. It's on my wall, hon.
What's the name of it?
Okay. We are here in the House of Public Discourse Forum hanging out with my man Chris. We're just checking out stuff. I'm trying to figure out whether I can you can hear this music from my my DJ board, and I think you should be able to. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to end this live broadcast, and I'm going to come back and check all this, and we'll be back.